Guys, welcome back, and I am glad to have you back. And we are, well, you just caught me doing some sewing. But this video, we are going over these two survival smocks that I had made using that sewing machine that you just saw me sewing with. And that's actually a sewing machine that Angel Survival bought me for my birthday last year. So I want to show you these two survival smocks. One here is a cold weather, and the other one is a hot weather one. And I'm still working on both of them for the most part. They're not quite finished, but they're almost there. But before we even look at those and do anything, I want to talk to you for just a couple minutes, and I want to share my testimony with you guys. You have to excuse me, guys. I am temporarily disabled. I'm having issues with my left knee. I'm having surgery on it at some point, so you could use your guys' prayer for that. But anyways, without further ado, my testimony. It was a dark, dark night on January 2011. No, I'm kidding, guys. So in 2011, I'd say is around that time, is when I found Jesus Christ. It's when I found God. And I wasn't a Christian. I wasn't religious. Before that, nothing. Never religious at all. Never even really believed in God, or at least the God of the Bible. And I went through a really, really dark time in my life. And 2011 was basically was my breaking point. And I'll tell you guys, that year, if I would have kept going the direction I was going, I'd either be dead or I'd be in prison. And it was a miracle that I'm alive today. Let's just put it that way. But basically, I went through so many dark periods in that year, and prior to that, it was leading up to that I would cry out to God so much. You see, I didn't know who God was. I just knew deep down inside that there was something else out there in this life, that there's got to be more to life than this. And I remember there'd be times I'd be looking up and I'd just be praying. I'd be talking, reveal yourself. What else is there? Is this life? What is this? And I did that for a few years. And God finally heard my prayers. I want to say he finally heard them. He just finally answered them according to his time. And I'll never forget it. My testimony it's been a process. It's not an overnight miracle for me. But I found God, and then I found Jesus Christ. And like I said, I didn't know who God was. I was just making up some idea in my head who he was, or who I thought he was. And with my crying out to him, and through my dark times that I went through, it led me to Jesus Christ. It led me to him. I realized that I can do nothing apart from him. I realized I can do nothing on my own. I realized my ways will lead to death. They will lead to disaster. They'll lead to brokenness. I mean, I was broken. Broken in spirit, broken. My heart was broken. My mind was broken. My body was broken. Like I said, I'd have been in prison or dead. If I was still going the route that I was going, I'd be in prison or dead. I'm not going to go into details today about everything, but maybe one day we'll do that. But as we continue to make videos, biblical survival videos, and outdoor survival, I will continue to talk about my testimony, because my testimony has been a process throughout my life. Since 2011 is when I gave my life to Christ, and I turned around and I started living for him. And but yeah, so basically, long story short, at least for this video, it took me to go through some really dark times and crying out to God when I didn't even know who he was to find Jesus Christ, but I found him. I found him. And so the goal of my channel is to, and I've always wanted to do this, and I'm doing it now, is to share the love of Christ with you. I want to share the same love that he has shown me. And I want to share that with you guys, because it's for you guys too. It is. It's for anybody and everybody who thirsts and hunger for righteousness. that's how I found him. I literally went through my own journey, my own wilderness, I guess you could say. I went through some dark times, and I cried out to God a lot. And like I said, I didn't even know who God was at the time. I had no idea. Now, a lot of religions will teach that there's many ways to God. And they will even say that Jesus is a way, but there's also other ways to him, or to God. So they say, yeah, you can find God through Jesus, but you can also find God through this religion or through that religion. But Jesus says, and I believe it's John chapter 14 verse 6. I might have that backwards, but it's John chapter 14 verse 6. He says, I am the way, the truth, and the life, and nobody gets to the Father except through me. So Jesus just threw all the other stuff out the window. He said he's the only way. So there is no other way. And that's what I believe. That's basically my testimony summed up without all the minor details. But as we go through videos and stuff, I will start sharing more experiences as I'm led to share with you guys on video. And yeah, I'm excited. I mean, the channel is still going to be the same. It's going to be me, Scotty Survival. But I'm going to be sharing the love of Christ with you guys. And so I'm really excited for this, guys, and I hope you are too. And I hope to gain some new followers and new people so I can reach out to the world, because that's what we have the internet for, right? So anyways, so let's go back into the survival shed and let's check out these survival smocks. Hey, thanks for listening. I really appreciate it. Okay, you are looking at a coat, hot weather, woodland camo combat pattern BDU blouse. And this is the hot weather version, and I did not realize how many different versions of this BDU there are, or blouse. This material it's made out of is a 50% nylon and 50% cotton ripstop. Now, this is the hot weather one. I have the cold weather one over there, and we'll look at that one after this, but there's multiple versions of the hot weather they made with different material. So this is the cotton ripstop one, and I like it. On these blouses, you have a standard pocket here, pocket in the front, or 2 pockets in the front. Now, as you can already see, this has a combat utility belt around it. What I did is I sewed up some desert night camo pattern belt loops right here. And those turned out pretty darn nice. And that will just keep the belt in line and in place. And also gives it some really nice look too. I like the look of it with the desert night camo. I've always liked desert night camo. So that's the first thing I did to this survival smock. Not the first thing, but it's the one thing I added to it. And also here on the back, I've got 3 on the back and 2 in the front. Okay, and then right here on each pocket, they call these dummy cords or dummy bands. And I just used some cut up. It's just some cut up material from some woodland camo, another woodland camo blouse that doesn't fit me. And that got sewed onto there. And so what you do is you get some little S carabiners, or S clips they call them. And then you can attach stuff to it. So right there, I have my ferrule rod, and that way you don't lose it. Now, I'm not going to get too much into detail, but I'm just showing you what I did, because we're eventually going to be hiking in this, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. I'm going to be having surgery here, and we'll talk about that here towards the end of the video. But there's S clips right there. So yeah, I put S clips, but I also put the dummy bands on the inside. These don't come with that. And that is basically all I did on the front. Now we're going to move on to the arms. Okay, now these arms originally did not come with pockets. They have pockets on both shoulders. And all I did with this, I just have stuff to show you guys. But I just took another pocket off another blouse or BDU that I had, and I sewed it on to the shoulders. And that was a little difficult, but not too difficult. Not as bad as I thought I was going to be using my sewing machine. And I cut them pretty wide here, so I could sew easily on it. And of course, these have the dummy loops in them as well, or dummy cord, whatever you call them, I don't know. So those are on both shoulders. Onto the back of this blouse, and I've added 1, 2, 3, and then 4 pockets to the back of this. These originally did not have pockets in the back. I've added them. This is what's making it a survival smock. Now I have not put any dummy bands on these in the back because I don't think I really need to. But this is basically what makes this a survival smock. These added pockets in the back. That's all I've done to the back. So whatever you guys decide to put in yours, if you ever make one, you put in that. But we'll go over that one day when we're doing a hiking video with this. Now, you can see some sewing's been done here. That's on the inside. I'm going to show you that pocket next. It's a big pocket I put on the inside. Now, I did not come up with this idea. I actually seen there's another YouTube channel called Evasion Survival Alaska, and he had made something very similar to this, and that's where I got the idea from. I really liked it. So I've just kind of added my own touch to it, which is what you guys should do too, depending on where you're at and what environment you're in. But like I said, this one's a hot weather one, so I take no credit. And here is the inside pocket. And this turned out really well. I'm really pleased with how it turned out. But I just used some more of that ripstop material from another BDU or blouse, and I sewed that on the inside. And I used Velcro for it. I like Velcro. I'm not in any kind of hostile environment, so I know it's kind of a louder material, but this is just for camping. But this holds a poncho. So I have this kit set up the way I want it set up. So like I said, I'm having surgery here soon. I'm not able to even work right now at the moment, and I can barely walk, so I have to use crutches. But when I get all healed and better, we're going to be taking this out and doing some hiking in it and trying it out, and we'll be going over the stuff that I'm carrying in it, because everything that I'm carrying in this blouse BDU survival smock is everything that I would use. It all works together. So yeah, it's pretty cool. So that's the hot weather one. Let's move on to the cold weather one that I'm still working on. Okay, you are looking at the Coat Woodland Camo Combat Blouse BDU. And this one is different than the hot weather one. This one is made with 50% cotton and 50% nylon. So it seems about the same thickness, but the material is just like a softer material. It doesn't have that ripstop, which the ripstop stuff is it gives it more strength, I believe, more tensile strength. I don't know if it's tensile strength, but anyways, basically this is the same as a hot weather one. I'm still working on it. There's a couple differences. Right now I do not have any shoulder pockets on it, and I do not have any dummy bands on the inside. But there are 3 things on here that are different than that one, and that's why it makes this a cold weather, and we're going to go over that right now. So first things first, this is a hood. This one has a hood on it because it's a cold weather one. I don't really need a hood on the hot weather one because I have a poncho, and unless I'm in a very buggy environment like Alaska or Russia, but I'm not. So this is a hood that I sewed on. You can see my threads there. Those are not too bad. I'm getting better. But the camo's a little different, but I like it. This hood actually came off of a Slovakian M97 parka. It's a hood that I would never use with it because it's more of a really cold weather, polar type environment. The hood doesn't really match the material on the M97, so I'd be wearing a different hood anyways. So no big deal. And what I did with this hood is I replaced the cord that was in it with some Sergeant Knots barrel cords, they call them, or it's elastic cord, and then I had just barrel locks on it. Replaced it with that. Just had some regular like cotton thread in there I didn't like. And then on the inside I sewed a button there, a button there, and a button there. And if you come around here, that's so I can roll it up, and I have these cuff parts here from another BDU that I just cut off the arms, and I sewed them on there. And I have a third one right here, and that's so I can roll it up, and the buttons go around and wrap into that the buttons on the inside. Now, I did not come up with this idea. Another YouTuber had done this to theirs. I believe they just had 2 on there. I have 3. Okay, but I'm just letting you know I didn't come up with this idea, so nobody thinks I'm stealing other people's ideas. Now, something I did with this too, I might do with the hot weather one, is I put Velcro on those straps there. And these originally have buttons. One of the buttons are still on there. I don't like it. It's so much quicker and faster just to use Velcro. So I replaced both the handcuffs with that. So here's what sets this one apart from the hot weather one. Instead of having 4 big pockets in the back, I have 1 large pocket on the back here. Now you're wondering, how do you get into it? Because there's no opening right there. Well, the opening here is on the side. So I decided to put the opening on the side, and I'll explain why. Of course, I use Velcro again. So I just got some stuff in here. I'm going to take it out now. Got a hat, or balaclava. Got a shamag. Got another blue hat. Net gaiter. And another hat. And that's it. That's everything goes in there. My hand goes pretty far in there and come up all with my elbow there. You can see it. So a lot of my reasoning for that pocket, the way I have it, is that I can stuff a full-size whoopee blanket in there. And it just fits perfectly. It's you can't fit nothing else in there, but it will literally fit a whoopee blanket inside that pocket. Now originally I had the pocket sewed on, or I had the Velcro on the top part so I could put inside of it, and I was trying to stuff it that way, and it was too hard to stuff because the Velcro kept wanting to come undone. So I had the seam strip and take everything back off, undo it, and put the Velcro on the side. I'm glad I did that because it's much easier. You have a smaller opening, but I can actually stuff stuff in there without the opening coming undone, the Velcro. So that's my idea. That's why this one's a little different, because I can put a full-size whoopee blanket in here, and this, like I said, this is a cold weather smock, survival smock. But I can also, if I don't put a whoopee blanket, I can put other cloth material like gloves and a balaclava and socks, and I can stuff it all in there, so I can put a lot of stuff in there and carry it, and it's still comfortable. Now this one's still a work in progress. I still try to think of some ideas I can do on top. I don't want to make it uncomfortable, and I don't want to overload this smock with too much. I want to keep it pretty minimum, but to where I can live out of this. That's my whole idea behind these smocks, is to be able to live overnight out of just one of these. Now more than likely I'll be carrying a smaller backpack with it, but I want to make it livable, a last ditch effort to be able to live for an overnight or something, or I say live, but I mean like camp out. But yeah, that's the idea behind it. So alright guys, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you all stick along with me as we go through biblical survival and outdoor survival, military surplus, and everything else that comes with that. So I'd like to read a scriptural chapter with you guys, if you don't mind, as we end this video. And if you have your Bibles, if you have a Bible, would you please open up to Isaiah chapter 53. It is found in the Old Testament, is what they call the Old Testament. Many names for it, also called the Tanakh, but later videos. So Isaiah chapter 53, I'll go ahead and read. Who has believed what we have heard? And who has the arm of the Lord been revealed to? He grew up before him like a young plant, and like a root out of dry ground. He didn't have an impressive form or majesty that we should look at him, no appearance that we should desire him. He was despised and rejected by men, a man of suffering who knew what sickness was. He was like someone people turned away from. He was despised and we didn't value him. Yet he himself bore our sickness and he carried our pains. But we in turn regarded him stricken, struck down by God and afflicted. But he was pierced because of our transgressions, crushed because of our iniquities. punishment for our peace was on him, and we are healed by his wounds. We all went astray like sheep. We all have turned to our own way, and the Lord has punished him for the iniquity of us all. He was oppressed and afflicted, yet he did not open his mouth. Like a lamb led to the slaughter, and like a sheep silent before his shearers. He did not open his mouth. He was taken away because of oppression and judgment. And who considered his fate? For he was cut off from the land of the living. He was struck because of my people's rebellion. They made his grave with the wicked, and with a rich man at his death. Although he had done no violence, and had not spoken deceitfully, yet the Lord was pleased to crush him severely. When you make him a restitution offering, he will see his seed. He will prolong his days, and by his hand the Lord's pleasure will be accomplished. He will see it out of his anguish, and he will be satisfied with his knowledge. My righteous servant will justify many, and he will carry their iniquities. Therefore I will give him the many as a portion, and he will receive the mighty as spoil, because he submitted himself to death, and was counted among the rebels. Yet he bore the sin of many, and interceded for the rebels. Alright guys, in the next video, we will talk about that whole chapter there, and I will talk to you about who that's talking about. I think you already know. And but anyways guys, glad you guys came along. God bless you, and I hope you enjoyed the show. See you in the next video. Take care. Bye.